You know those games that are so cheap but just so chock full of content that you feel bad about the asking price, so bad that you hop onto other stores and just buy the game again to support the devs? Some games that come to mind are Hollow Knight and Cuphead. Well, Vampire Survivors can now join that list too. When I threw down $8 or whatever it was for this cute little game and all the DLC, I didn't think that I would develop a goddamn addiction. At least it's cheaper than cocaine, I suppose. Vampire Survivors is a roguelike shoot-'em-up game where the player picks a character and is drummed into a map of their choice. These characters can level up by killing enemies and picking up little crystal things. Upon leveling up, the player can pick a new weapon or item or upgrade a current weapon or item. Later on, the player can choose to skip a weapon or item to gain more experience or just banish them from existence for the rest of the run. If the player picks up specific combinations of weapons and items, they'll be able to evolve them into an insanely powerful weapon. For example, if the player picks up both the knife and bracer, they'll unlock the Thousand Edge, which will fire a shit ton of knives with zero delay. In the case of Thousand Edge, the player will need to max out the knife and have the bracer in their possession and pick up a chest. Some evolutions will require both items to be maxed out. Speaking of chests, they will pop up throughout the game. The player can bump into them to receive either an upgrade if applicable or just level up one of their items or weapons. Sometimes the player will get lucky and get 3 or even 5 level ups from a chest. If the player has higher luck, this is more likely to happen. It's worth noting that you can only have 6 weapons and items at a time, unless you find one on the ground. This can be added on, but you have to pick it up after you already have 6 weapons and items. This means that if one is not paying attention, you can easily lock yourself out of an evolution, and that can really sting when you get into a longer run. You're going to want to have 6 evolutions if you're going for the harder stuff. At first, a run will last either 15 or 30 minutes. If you can hold out for that long, the Reaper will come in and kill you on sight. At first, there is nothing you can do about this. But once you get the yellow sign, oh boy, Vampire Survivors will really start to pick up. If you thought the game was fun so far, you're in for a real treat. There are so many goddamn characters. There are like roughly 40 characters total if you include the DLC, which is just so goddamn cheap that you may as well grab it. There are 16 additional secret characters too. They all have different starting weapons and buffs. Most of them feel genuinely different, and I am just staggered by how much content this game has. Again, the base game was $5, and the DLC packs, they're only like $2 each. There are also Arcana cards that'll give the player buffs to make runs a bit easier. There are 22 total, and the player can pick up to 3 for a run. There are also roughly 19 stages or something, and they all have their own soundtrack, enemies, artifacts. Speaking of the soundtrack, it is just goddamn banger after banger after banger. I bought it on Steam because it was so good. I'm a huge fan of the pixel graphics too. As someone who still loves playing Game Boy games, looking at you, Pokemon Crystal, pixel art has always just spoken to me for some reason. It just looks so nice and pretty. It also makes the game easier to run, which is great for potato PCs. There are definitely a few problems that I have with the game though, and I'm gonna start with the big one here. A lack of true online co-op is such a missed opportunity. I get it, they're a small studio and it'll probably be a big undertaking, but god damn it, I wish it was here and right now. My friend lives in California and I live in New York. We have tried the Steam remote play bullshit, and it kinda works with 2 people. As soon as we get a 3rd friend on there though, oh, forget about it. One of us lags so badly that it just isn't even fun anymore. Couch co-op, that works great. But I really wish online co-op would have been there. It would have given the game so much more value to me. Other than that, I can admit that the game can feel a bit repetitive after a while. If you play it too much, you'll probably get burned out. I know you can say that about most games, but I think Vampire Survivors gets hit hard by this because, well, every item and weapon is passive. What I mean by that is, you don't actively do much except for moving around collecting experience. Don't get me wrong, that's part of the reason why this is such a fun turn off your brain and play kind of game, but it's worth noting that it may not be super engaging at times. Sometimes you'll just feel like you're on autopilot, you know? I guess really the only other thing that I could think of was when there are legitimately hundreds of enemies on the screen. It can be hard to tell what the hell is even going on at that point. I mean, look at this shit! I could barely tell where the hell I am. I kinda wish there were a bit fewer enemies, but they would have a bit more health or something to keep the difficulty in check. Not a big complaint, but it did bother me a couple times. So yeah, that's my recent addiction. I know the playtime of 45 hours doesn't look like a lot, but I started a full-time job recently and I've had some other stuff going on. If I only even have like 45 minutes to game, I'm usually booting this up and getting a run in. Or hell, even if I have a few hours to game, I'll just do multiple runs. This really has that one more run feel to it. That's not to mention that it runs great on the Steam Deck too. I've gotten a good few runs on the go. First score, I guess 6 out of 7 is fine. This game took me by surprise. I'll get all the achievements one day. That's all for now though. I guess I could whole hog this one, but I want to keep this one short and sweet. By the way, I heard that some of the developers have worked on slot machines. Yep, that totally tracks.